All right, we are back on lesson 2, converting measurements of length, page 809 and 810. And we did a few problems together, and then I asked you to go and try some out on your own. And now we're coming back. Oh, phone call. Let's see who it is. No one important. And we're going to head back. So remember, our first step is to write our little kind of mini anchor chart. If we're going from a big unit to a small unit, we multiply because we need more of them. If we go from a small unit to a big unit, we divide because we need fewer of them. And then we said they're going to give us the formula for miles, but they won't give us anything related to these conversions. So you have to memorize at the bare minimum these. You can memorize the one for yards to inches if you want, or you can just use 2 steps. 12 inches in a foot and 3 feet in yards. And we said a foot, when we imagine a foot, we're thinking a ruler. And when we imagine a yard, we're going to hold our hands out on either side and think fingertip to fingertip, and that is a yard. So that gives us a visual where we can think what we're going to measure. So I'm going to go back to our chart here. So remember that we are practicing our U.S. customary measurement. So you have to be able to measure accurately within every system. You have to be able to convert within both systems. And you have to know what unit you're counting in. So here are your units. What you are measuring, which right now we're in length, and what tool you would use. That's the standard. So it'll say something like, if you were going to measure how much water would fill up a fish tank, you're going to need to know that you're measuring volume, and you would do it with gallons. Or it might say you're building a doghouse and you need to cut wood, and you need to say, I'm measuring in length. I would measure with a tape measure, and I would measure in inches. So that is one style of question. And then the other is making your conversions, which we're looking down at our vocabulary. And we know conversion just means making an equivalent number in a different unit. And then the final one would be multi-step problems where you're having to actually solve. If you were actually creating this or measuring it, what would you do? So those are the kind of the 3 types of problems that you need to know. All right, so here we are. We've written our little anchor chart, we've written our formula at the top, and we're ready to start. Inches to feet is going small to big, which means I would divide. And I know that inches to feet is this formula, which means I'm going to divide each of my groups of a foot into, I'm going to pull out groups of 12 inches. So here we go, 72 divided by 12. I know 5 times 12 is 60. Oh, sorry. 6 times 12 is 72. No remainders, 6 feet. All right, we're going from feet to yards. Small to big, which means I need to divide. Then I find my formula with feet and yards, and I know that there's 3 feet in every yard. So I'm going to pull out groups of 3 from my bank of 22. 3 times 7 is 21. I have a remainder of 1. So I have 7 whole yards and 1 out of 3 feet left over, or 1/3 of a yard. All right, number 16, inches to yards, small to big. All right, well, I can either go small to big and divide, or I can go yards to inches. Come on, little camera. And multiply, and I'm way better at multiplying. So I'm going to convert this one, yards, and I don't know my yards because I didn't memorize that one, so I'm going to do it in 2 steps. I'm going to go feet, and then I'm going to go feet to inches because I have to end up with inches. All right, so there are 3 feet in every yard, so 2 times 3 is 6. Now we're going to go 6 feet is how many inches? Again, I'm going big to small, which is multiplication. There are 12 inches in every foot, so 6 times 12, and I just did it at the very top, is 72. All right, so my new one here, 2 yards, is 72 inches. So now I'm comparing 72 inches to 72 inches, which is equal. All right, flip your paper over. We're on number 21. A bull had horns that measured 98 inches. How many inches? 98. What is the length? What are we measuring? Length in feet and inches. So I'm going from inches to feet, which is small, to big, which means divide. I know that my formula is 12 inches equals 1 foot. So I need to divide 98 by 12. All right, 12, 24, 36, 48, 60, 72, 84, 96. 1 group, 2 groups, 3 groups, 4 groups, 5 groups, 6 groups, 7 groups, 8 groups. So my answer is 8 with a remainder of 2. All right, so I have 8 feet with 2 inches. Now it wants it in feet too, and when they want you to convert to feet, that means they want it in a fraction or a decimal. So I had 2 inches. Out of how many inches does it take to equal a foot? So I had 2 out of how many that are needed? 12. Eight and 2/12 of an inch. Now I can actually reduce this. 8 and 1/6 of an of a foot. Sorry, wrong unit. Word problem, you gotta have a word. 8 and 1/6 of a foot. We could actually divide this and we could find the decimal. We haven't worked on whole number by decimal division, but we could actually, or decimal by decimal, but we could actually convert it. If it had been a 4 or a 10 or 25 or 20, those common denominators that give us tens and hundreds, we could have just converted it automatically. But a fraction works too. So I have 8 and 1/6 feet for my horns. All right, so you're going to pause here. For the rest of lesson 2, you need to complete the remainder of the independent practice from page 809 and 810. Then you're going to also work on the homework. And I want you to, again, at the start, I want you to write your little anchor chart. So I'm not going to fill it in for you. I want you to do what? To write down. So I'm going to leave it for you to fill in. And I also want you to write down your measurements. So 1 foot equals how many inches, and 1 yard equals how many feet. Remember we said the more times you write it, the stronger that bridge will be. All right, and then there's a few questions on the back as well. So there's 11 questions total. And then if you want to take pictures and show me that you have completed the work, I will similarly take pictures and send them to you, and we can look over the assignments together, or you're welcome to call me. And we said my phone number was 412-677-8081. You can also text me. Just make sure you add your name on the text so I know who is contacting me. All right, have a great day, guys.